It is Friday, September 30th of 2022. It's the last day of the week for me. Hope it is for you too, right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bam! And good morning and welcome to Guy's Daily Drive. There is all kinds of things to talk about today. Number one, the subject that's been on everyone's mind over the last few days is the weather, and it's looking kind of gloomy right now. I don't know if the current cloud cover is associated with Hurricane Ian, which at this particular time I believe has just made landfall somewhere in South Carolina. And it'll be headed in our direction, though of course it won't be a hurricane by the time it gets to here. Pretty much reduced to a tropical storm by then. But we're going to get a lot of rain coming our way, probably starting sometime this afternoon. Not sure when that's going to end. It's going to be disruptive regardless. Anytime a tropical system, and whether it's just a tropical storm or category 4 or 5 hurricane, though of course those are going to be much worse, it has a tendency to change people's plans. And in one particular case, it's kind of unfortunate, very, very much unfortunate. A friend of my wife passed away, and they're having a memorial service tomorrow in Richmond. But if the weather is coming down in buckets, I don't think she's going to be able to go. Because it's already, and I've talked about this, just driving south from DC, or really any direction from DC, is a nightmare at the best of times. And it's even worse when the weather is acting up. So she may not be able to make the memorial service, which is that's a shame. I watched the Dolphins play last night. This whole episode may be a bit of a downer. I watched the Dolphins play last night, and they got beat pretty handily by the Cincinnati Bengals. It stayed close for most of the game, and Miami's quarterback Tua was doing okay, and he was making some good tight throws, for the most part good decisions. There was an early interception that you could make the case that the receiver kind of went in the wrong direction, and so it ended up basically being thrown to a Cincinnati Bengal player. That ended a potential drive for points because they were in Cincinnati territory. And the Dolphins defense kept them bottled up for the most part. And then the game kind of got out of control from them when Tua got hurt. And I'm not sure, whereas this may be a career-ending injury for him, because his reaction to getting hit, and he got hit pretty hard, and it was a legal hit. It wasn't like, the guy picked him up and threw him to the ground. It was a legal hit. But when his head hit the ground, you could see his fingers just bending in like all different kinds of weird directions. At first I thought maybe his hand had got hurt, but no, that's not what happened. So he was carted off and went to the hospital. hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully it won't be the end of his career. But an injury like that, and you got to kind of think about your life beyond playing football. And is it worth risking maybe permanent damage just to play football? And he's been hurt before. You know, he's had kind of an injury-prone career. And it's too bad because he is very talented. But honestly, even as a Dolphins fan, and I would love to see him back under the helm, but even as a Dolphins fan, I got to say, you know, it's the kind of injury that not only should make you as a player think about hanging up the cleats, but it should also make the Miami Dolphins organization as a whole start to think past Tua, regardless of what happens here. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But I'm hoping he's going to be okay, and I'm hoping he's going to be back under helm because he is a very talented quarterback. And he makes, for the most part, he makes very good decisions, and they've got talent around him now that they haven't had in the past. Teddy Bridgewater, came in, and he looked pretty good. Is he a long-term solution for the Dolphins? I don't know. He's been with a lot of different teams, and there's reasons why they haven't kept him on, either, you know, early career mistakes, or they found someone better, or, you know, injury. There's all kinds of reasons. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with the Dolphins going on for the rest of the year? They're now 3-1. But it's hard to say what's going to happen. Bridgewater could come in and continue to play well, and for the most part, he did play pretty well last year. So I don't know. As a long-suffering Dolphins fan, it's you know, I don't want to sound callous and say, well, you know, maybe Tua could, I don't know. I would rather him not come back if it's going to risk permanent injury, but that's going to be up to the team and Tua to make that determination. But speaking of Florida, of course, Hurricane Ian came through the Fort Myers area. It was supposed to go a little bit farther north, but it pretty much hit Fort Myers and Cape Coral and Sanibel Island head on. And I've spent some time in Fort Myers. My parents had their last home together there in Fort Myers, so I was down there quite a bit in the late 80s, early 90s. And it's a nice enough town. You know, it's your typical kind of South Florida small city. But for the people there, of course, they call it home. And it was pretty much devastating. We'll see if they can rebuild quickly. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. One thing about Florida, except for the old style homes, like the home I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, that was a brick home. I mean, it wasn't going anywhere, and it weathered several hurricanes as I was growing up, and it weathered Hurricane Andrew without too many issues because it was a solidly built home. But so much of what's been built from like the mid-60s on, you could almost put it in the category of temporary housing, because every time a hurricane comes through, and not just like, you know, monster category 4 hurricanes. I mean, it's hard to say what would have held up to a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. But so much of how towns are built or built on in Florida just seem to feel like temporary housing. You know, it's not the best construction, and it's built to code, but who's to say what that code is, or if it was just basically lip service as far as code goes. There's all kinds of stories I could tell about what happened with Andrew. But it's sad for the people that are there, and I hope that that the government of Florida and that the federal government is going to come in and provide the resources necessary for them to rebuild their homes and their lives. So my heart goes out to all the people that have been deeply affected. You know, this is where I grew up. Deeply affected by Hurricane Ian, and I hope that that they're able to rebuild their lives. Now this week, getting on to something that's not quite so gloom and doom. On Thursday, Tracy and I are driving up to Long Island for, this is kind of our 30th anniversary trip. Whoa, buddy. We're going to go see comedian Jim Gaffigan and spend a couple of days in Long Island, hoping to be able to see some friends of Tracy's while we're in that area. And I think she's kind of arranging that now. I don't know if we'll see them on the way up or on the way back. If it's on the way up, then we'll have to leave relatively early. If it's on the way back, then it doesn't matter as much. I went to Enterprise yesterday? No, sorry. I went to Enterprise, maybe it was yesterday, because I had a doctor's appointment. Hold on. I had a doctor's appointment, and when I got out of the doctor's, I went over there and made sure that we had a car. I'm not going to take this car. This is a good car, and we've taken it on long trips before. But it's now over 92,000 miles, and we don't want to get stuck and have the whole trip be ruined because of a broken car. Whereas if you rent a car and it breaks, well, you call the company and they bring you another car. That's how that works. So we'll see. Come on, everybody, just stay where they're at. Stay in your lane. There we go. Very good. People cooperating this morning as far as traffic goes. But it's going to be fun. We're going to leave on Thursday. We'll have Friday and Sunday to do whatever it is that we want to do up in Long Island. Saturday evening is the show with Jim Gaffigan. And then we come back on Monday. And I turn the car in on Tuesday. So regardless of what happens, I'm recovered transportation-wise. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Just to get out of town for a couple of days. It's been a while. Since I've had any significant time off. I mean, we went to the Ringo show, and I had a couple days there, but that's basically a good part of each day taken up with driving, which I don't mind, but it's not like it's completely restful and so filled with relaxation. So that is, I think, is going to do it for today. I don't know if I'll do another Guy's Daily Drive this week. Probably not next week. As I may do one on Monday, but there may not be another one after that. So Monday may be the only Guy's Daily Drive that I do. If you'd like to get a hold of me, my email address is guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. Vertshark.com is sort of the website. You can go to see all the odds and the vids. explained all the reasoning behind that. I haven't put anything up lately because it's kind of broken. Vert Shark is where you can basically subscribe, like, share, subscribe to Vert Shark over there on YouTube, and you'll see all the latest vids as I put them up there. And Guy's Daily Drive is the podcast feed to get all of the audios that I do. Don't forget, besides Guy's Daily Drive, I also, on occasion, I haven't in the last couple of weeks, do Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices, which he does live on Tuesday nights. That is always a good show, and you can catch that on YouTube. Dave Ginsburg's In Touch with iOS on Thursday nights, and I think he does that live as well. Yeah, he does that live. He does that live as well at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on the YouTubes. And you can subscribe to both of their feeds as well to get those shows. There's, of course, the MyMac.com podcast that I do with Gaz. We're going to get back together on hopefully Saturday. I've got so much I have to do this week to get ready for the trip. I was offered a chance to go see the Ravens on Sunday, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. There's just too much to do. But that, I think, is going to do it. Oh, patreon.com/MacParrot, coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, and PayPal at paypal.me/MacParrot if you would like to contribute to the continued madness that is Guy's Daily Drive and the MyMac.com podcast. That is how I pay, partially, for all of the things that I do online, because all those services cost money. But that's not your problem. That's my problem. That's a guy problem. A guy's problem. And I solve that problem. Sometimes with your generous help, but usually not so much. But that's okay. I'll keep doing it anyway. Thanks again for joining me today on Guy's Daily Drive. I really, really do appreciate it. And I will see all of you next time right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.